Hi, everybody. This is Cheryl and Life Without a Witness. Thank you for being here again today for episode 4 of Book Reading of Tales from Eternity. So I am, for those of you who this may be your first video, there are 3 others where I go over stories that I wrote in Tales from Eternity, which is the prequel to Fire and God. Okay, so these are all this, I was blogging at the time, so these are the blog posts I wrote and kept secret or kept hidden. I didn't share them for about a year um, before I wrote Fire and God. Okay, so it just a bunch of stories to help me figure out what was going on. You know, why were all of these weird things happening? Um, you know, after I decided to change my mind about what I believed. Okay. All right. So this next story is called The Shadow World. Shadows are living your life for you. And again, like I said, I wrote these blog posts in a blog that I started, and no one saw it but me. Okay. So when you hear you and like I'm talking to some, I was talking to me. All right. Because nobody was reading them. All right. So just to make that clear. All right. Here we go. There once was a world called Reflection. Reflection was inhabited by shadows. Shadows of trees, shadows of clouds, shadows of people, cars, houses, dogs, cats, buildings, etc. The shadows of reflection could only see and experience other shadows. They had no knowledge of the actual trees, clouds, people, cars, etc., from which they were born. They thought they created themselves. They thought they were independent and separate from any creator. They thought they lived their own lives apart from anything else. They thought they were born as shadows, and they thought they died as shadows. The shadow people of reflection thought they were made of a different substance than shadow mountains or shadow animals, but in reality, they were made of the same thing. The shadow people thought they were created for a special purpose. The shadow people thought they each had a different destiny, a different fate, and a specific reason for existing. Without being aware of what a shadow really is, the shadow people created myths and formed beliefs that they passed down for many generations. For this reason, they suffered greatly when life did not go the way they planned. Simple plans to walk across the street were thwarted when suddenly they turned around and went in another direction. What was the use of making plans when outside forces seemed to come between what they wanted and what actually happened? Because of such instability, feelings of happiness, joy, and delight were equally balanced with feelings of fear, uncertainty, and frustration. Nevertheless, there were a few things they could seem to count on. For instance, they knew that shadows around them changed often. They could recognize the profile and shape of some shadows. They also knew that at a set time, they and the shadows around them seemed to disappear. They called this time shadow sleep. When they and the shadows around them would appear again, they called this time shadow wake. As it happened, one day an apparent shadow had an experience where it saw and felt itself as the being casting the shadow. From this perspective, the former shadows saw that it was not a shadow at all. That's why nothing ever worked out the way it wanted it to. That's why it was always depressed, frustrated, and afraid. It was living as a shadow when it was much more than that. By mistaking itself as just a shadow, it was trying to give the shadow its life, its permanency, its reality. It was trying to manipulate, shape, and mold the shadow into something that it already was. It was judging the shadow for doing what a shadow does. It was mistaken. It realized it was expending effort to perform the impossible. It couldn't do anything to the shadow. All it could do was realize that it was not only a shadow. Shadow was not the whole picture. By realizing it was not the shadow, it allowed the shadow to be whatever it was without judgment or the desire to change it. So if it was not the shadow, what was it? It still wasn't sure, but what's the main thing that's required in order to cast a shadow? Light. Shadows do not exist without light. Light had taken itself to be a shadow, also known as a body, also known as a thought. While light does not need shadows in order to be, light has no quarrel with shadows. Light simply and effortlessly shines, and in that shining, allows the shadow of thought, of world, of universe, of body to be. Shadows are an effect. Can you change an effect? Can you separate an effect from its cause? They arise together. Shadows don't have a purpose, a destiny, or a fate. Neither does light. They simply are. That one cause has only effect, and there is no separation between the two. In fact, there are not two. Everything is a cause. Don't believe this. Only shadows or effects need to believe something in order for them to be. You simply are. No shadow or light required. So this story, The Shadow World, I wrote this story, I forgot what I was reading or looking at, but somehow I came across the cave, right? That the story, Plato's cave. Okay, so if you go to YouTube and just type in Plato's cave, you'll find it, or Google, whatever. But it's a story, about how the guy was chained and all he could see was the shadows pass by the door and all that. And then he thought that's what the world was. He and the other people who were chained, they had a fire behind them, so, and all they saw were the shadows on the wall in front of them. So that's what they thought the world was just full of shadows. Okay. And then one day, some kind of way, one of the prisoners got out of his chains and he was able to go outside and see, oh my goodness, like there are people out here and animals and trees and the sun and the sky. I mean, all this, right? And he's like, that's what was casting all those shadows on the wall in front of us. Okay. So he went back to tell all the other prisoners, hey guys, listen, the shadows we see on the wall, like that's not the reality. Okay. There's more to life than that, you know? And, they killed him. Okay. Like, what are you talking about? This is life right here. What I see on this wall. I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. You're nuts. Okay. And, that's Plato's cave, right? So with this one right here, when I first saw what I saw and felt the things that I felt and realized that I was wrong about everything, I was excited. Like I really wanted people to know. I was like, man, this is awesome. Like this is really great. Like this is some good news. You're wrong about everything. That is such good news. I mean, people are going to be so excited. No. No, it's like, you're the person standing up in a movie theater telling everybody, hey, this is fake. These people aren't, Denzel's not really a police officer. And, the Titanic sank years ago. That ship isn't real. Nobody's trying to hear that. They don't want you to do that. Now they know it. They know. Okay. But for you to stand up and bring attention to it, like, no, you're not going to do that because I am choosing to be lied to. It's called consensual hallucination. Okay. We are consenting and we are deliberately, okay, suspending our critical thought so that we can be fooled and lied to, so we can enjoy ourselves. I want to enjoy this movie. I know there's no aliens, I mean, I know that's not, Sigourney Weaver is not a real clone of her or whatever. We know that, all right, but don't ruin it, all right? Don't, just be quiet. So the shadow world for me is me really seeking to put into different words to really understand when I look in this camera, when I look in the mirror, in the morning, like what am I really seeing, you know? And I don't know, okay? But what I do know is that it's not the whole picture, okay? Like I am what more than what I see in the video camera or in the mirror. Now, what that means, I don't know, but what I do know is that there are other possibilities. That's what I do. There are other possibilities, and whatever I think I am now is just a stop along the way. Okay, that's all it is. A stop along the way. I don't have to be stuck there, and I choose not to be stuck there. So I'm not planting my flag in the sand like I did before. Okay, it's if I decide to plant it somewhere for that time, that's fine. But what I am aware of is it doesn't have to stay there. It doesn't have to stay there. Okay, so that's the shadow world. Shadows are living your life for you, and yeah, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that no more. Okay. All right. The next story is very significant and is a question that I had been hearing when I was listening to various people, talk about this perspective. I mean, they would have audience. I mean, the audiences would be huge, and people would ask, "Am I enlightened? Like, how do I know when I'm enlightened? How do I know that?" And for me, I didn't like in the beginning. I didn't know what non-duality was. I didn't know what enlightened was. Like I'd heard that term before, but I don't like, what is that? Like, what do you mean by that? Okay. So they would ask that question, and I was, I didn't know enough to even ask a question like that. Right. So I went ahead and wrote this. All right. Am I enlightened yet? Seeking is a bitch. It's all I think about all day, every day. I go to sleep thinking about this thing that can't be known, and I wake up thinking about whatever it is. It's on my mind when I'm driving, when I'm eating, when I'm interacting with other people, when I'm in the shower, when I'm on the toilet, when I'm at work, and when I'm sitting quietly. I walk in the forest for hours, sit, read books, fast, ask questions, don't read, etc., all in hopes of getting it. What is it? What am I looking for? Where is it? I want to know. I want to find it. I want relief from this thing that clearly isn't it. It's freaking annoying, and it's sometimes worse than whatever I was doing before I started searching for it. Then one day, it hit me. Cheryl, you're not seeking enlightenment, awakening, or salvation. You're not trying to find truth. You're trying to get away. You're still trying to get the hell out of here. Any and all movement, the movement of thought, the movement of feelings, the movement of bodies, the movement of sounds, the movement of images, is me trying to separate myself from myself. All movement is an attempt to get away from enlightenment, but it also is enlightenment. It doesn't matter if the movement is worldly and material or if the movement is spiritual and holy. It's all an attempt to be separate. Trying to be separate is not evil, wrong, or wicked. You don't have to do anything about this. Just look at it, pay attention to it, and realize what you're doing. Paying attention to it allows you to see that it isn't working. There's no reason for it, and there's no goal. You're already enlightened, awakened, and saved. So, where are you going? To convince yourself that you have succeeded, or at least making damn good progress in getting to a place that is not enlightenment, you need to create and believe in a few friendly concepts like movement, change, and time. We are so convinced of the reality of these concepts that it's difficult to entertain the idea that we may be wrong about them. There are many ideas that have been debunked, seen through, and found wanting, like the flat earth and alchemy, which is turning metals into gold. What if every idea has an expiration date? What if the change from a red light to a green light does not require time? What if aging from a baby to an adult does not occur in a linear fashion? What if walking from one end of a room to another does not involve legs? What if it all happens now in the present? What if the idea of the present is also untrue? Am I enlightened yet? Well, that depends. Who's asking? So, like I said, I wrote this blog post. I remember one day I was in my bedroom. This is when I lived in Maryland. I was going through my divorce. I mean, it was just a terrible time. It was absolutely terrible. And then this happens. Okay. And I was like, whatever the hell is going on here, like, I ain't got time for this. Like, I really don't have time, like, whatever this is. Okay. But it wouldn't let go. Like, whatever was going on, it wouldn't let go. I wouldn't let go. Something. Okay. And I felt like there's something going on here, but I don't know what it is. Like, what is it? And which I assume is seeking. Like, I was just, I mean, it was seeking on steroids. Okay. Because now, when I was a Christian, I didn't feel like I was seeking, even though I was, because I thought I had the answers. Okay. Now, here, I'm like, okay, so I was wrong about everything. So what the hell is happening? You know, and then it was off to the races. I'm looking for stuff. I'm looking at videos. I'm reading books. I'm writing my blog. I'm just thinking about. It's like, where is it? What? How? So eventually I started to see like why these people were asking. How do I know? Like, am I enlightened yet? Like, did I get it? And I was laying in my bed, in my bedroom, and I was just silently crying. There was no sound, just tears, because I was so frustrated. The frustration was, I mean, there's no words, because I'm like, it's like when you know something and it's right at the tip of your tongue, but you just can't. Like, I know the name, but it's right at the tip of, like, that's how it was. That is exactly how it was, but times 10. Okay. And I was like, what? I can't, there's nowhere else for me to look. Like, what is going on? It was that frustrating, y'all. Okay. So then, and listening to people talk about it, and like, there's nothing to get. And I was like, shut up. I mean, what the hell? Then shut up then if there's nothing to get, you know? You know what I mean? It was just so frustrating. But so eventually, and I couldn't even tell you, I can tell you about that day, but I can't tell you, I never got it, just so you know. It's not like, oh, that's it, I see. No, that day never came. Okay. But what did happen though is I actually saw that. Okay, that there is nothing to get. You know, I'm like there's a and to see that, you know, like not even enlightenment, like there's nothing there. You know, but I feel like I had been so conditioned, you know, and I felt like there was something I didn't know. Oh, okay. So now I got to find out what that is. But, you know, realizing, well, that's not true either, Cheryl. Okay. So what are you doing? Where are you going? Okay. And all of that going, trying to be more spiritual, more enlightened, more woke, more whatever, you know, you want to call it, right? Was just me actively refusing to see. Okay. Actively refusing. Like, you know, like imagine that you're outside, you know, in the daytime at a picnic or something. You're laying on a blanket on the ground. Okay, looking up at the sky is beautiful. There's clouds, there's blue, your eyes are wide open. Okay. Imagine being in that position. Okay, eyes wide open, you're looking at the sky, you're doing all that. In that position, but what you're doing is trying to ignore the blue sky and the clouds that you see. How hard is that? You're looking right at it. Okay, you're looking right at it, but you're trying to run away from the knowledge that you're looking at it. Like you see it right there. You don't even need knowledge. You know, all you need is to see. You know, it don't take language, it don't take nothing. All right, it's right in front of you. And your eyes are wide open, but you're doing everything to deny what you're looking at. Everything. That's what I was doing. All the while, I'm looking at Google. I'm you know, typing stuff in YouTube videos, all you know, books, all kind of books, and just talking to folks, asking questions. All this time was me actively trying to ignore what was already in front of my face. Okay, the whole time. You know, and that gets exhausting. Oh my God, it gets so exhausting. You get so tired, child. I mean, just running away and I don't know. It was a mess. It was a mess. So this, you know, and if it almost seems like at the beginning, it was like, okay, this is some Aesop's fable type stuff. I mean, you know, just say what you're trying to say and get rid of all these riddles and stuff. But it's not, it wasn't a riddle. I mean, how simple is there's nothing to get it? Like, how simple is that? And at the time, I felt like, what the hell are you saying? There's nothing to get. Like, what? Like, what does that mean? I mean, what else can you say? You know, what, you know, like I'm laying next to you and listening to you complain. I can't see the blue sky. I mean, and I'm look, you know, it's like, girl, like, what? So that's what I was sounding like. Okay, all that laying in the bed, crying, and you know, girl, go sit down somewhere. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Okay, so and even that, you know, was me trying to actively deny what I was actually already seeing, and I didn't need a witness. I didn't need somebody to tell me what it was. Okay, I need none of that, none of it. But again, I'm for years, you know, had been denying what I actually saw. So that's what am I enlightened yet? That's where that came from. All right, so thank you for being here for the reading of those two stories. And the next time I come on, I am going to be reading The Brightest Moon. I really, really like that one. and lost and found in space. This is the one. This is the one. You're going to hear this one like across all my channels because I use that as an example for a lot of stuff. The next one is really good too. Okay. All right. So I'll see y'all here next time. Okay. Have a very, very good evening. Bye-bye.